Happy Friday, scholars. We're almost through our first week of distance learning. So far, I think we're actually doing pretty well with this. So keep up the awesome work. I love seeing all your guys' comments on Google Classroom. Feels like we're still all together, which is awesome. So we're going to do some more well-ordered language today. Taking a look at page 152 and 153. But before that, I wanted to take a look at a grammar rule, rule 1 of commas. So let's take a look at that. So the rule 1 of commas states, use a comma to separate items listed in a series of words, phrases, and subordinate clauses. Really all we're worried about right now is words and possibly some phrases. And then one thing to point out, the comma in between the last two items is often referred to as the Oxford comma, and it should not be left out, and I'll explain why in just a moment. So let's look at one sentence that is a series of lists. The bag contained a pencil, a glove, and a golf ball. Notice how I paused in between each words in my list. That's a good indication that a comma needs to be there. So a bag contained a pencil, comma, a glove, comma, and a golf ball. And I need to punctuate the end, so I'm going to put a period. It'll be a declarative sentence. So with these commas, they're just in a series of words. We're usually making lists with these. So this next sentence is kind of why it's important to keep the Oxford comma. So if I look at my sentence, I went for a walk with my dogs, Lincoln and Phoenix. So if I said that without the Oxford comma, what this sentence would mean is I went for a walk with my dogs. Their names are Lincoln and Phoenix. But that's not the case because my kids are named Lincoln and Phoenix. So I need to put a comma in between there. Now it says I went for a walk with my dogs, Phoenix, or let me rephrase that. I went for a walk with my dogs, Lincoln, and Phoenix. This tells me that there were a group, larger than a group. I didn't go for a walk with just my dogs. I went with my dogs, my son, Lincoln, and my son, Phoenix. So that's why it's important to have the Oxford comma. All right. So let's take a look at our workbook pages today. We're going to be still working with possessive nouns. So as a reminder, a possessive noun shows ownership of something, and in a sentence it acts as a adjective. So if I look at my first sentence here, it says, is the Johnsons' window a frosty picture frame? The apostrophe right here is telling me that it is a possessive. When we have more than one group of people, we put the apostrophe after the S. So it's talking about the group of the Johnsons. So if I'm going to analyze and diagram this sentence, I need to figure out first what is the subject of my sentence. This is an interrogative sentence because of the question mark. So if I take a look, is the Johnsons' window a frosty picture frame? Window is going to be my subject. And then I find the verb. There's only one verb. It's a be verb in this sentence. at the start is. Now, because there's only one verb, it's not going to be a helping verb. So is it a predicate verb or a linking verb? Now, in my sentence, I am renaming my window. So that means it's going to be a linking verb and not a predicate verb. With that, I'm renaming my window as a frame. Predicate nominative, because I'm renaming. If I was describing the window, it would be predicate adjective. All right, now that I have my subject, my verbs, and my predicate, I can go through and find all my modifiers. So if I start out my sentence, the in my sentence is telling me which window. The window. It's going to be an adjective. Whose window was it? It was the Johnsons. Even though that is a possessive noun, it's going to be acting as an adjective in my sentence. And then how many frames were there? It was a frame, so there was only one. Frosty frame. And what kind of frame? It was a picture frame. So that's how I'm going to analyze my sentence. And if I'm going to diagram that, let's do this right here. My sentence was a window. It was about a window. Is, I'm going to capitalize that because it's the start of my sentence. And I don't have any direct objects in this sentence, so I'm going to have a slanted line. And frame is my predicate nominative. I'm going to put a question mark at the end because it is an interrogative sentence, and I want my diagram to match that. Now I go through and add all my modifiers. The window. Whose window? The Johnsons. And then I'll add all my modifiers to the frame. So A, Frosty, picture. All right, let's do one more together, and then I'm going to have you guys do the last two on this page on your own. So eagerly, the two kids drew many pictures. Now, this sentence doesn't have any possessives, so let's just look at it like sentences we've done before. What is my sentence about? It's about kids. So that's going to be my subject. And you know what? I'm going to do this in a different color so that it is obvious that there's a difference between the two. So it's about kids. The kids did what? They drew. So they're physically doing something. I don't have a be verb. I don't have a linking. Drew usually isn't a linking verb or a helping verb. And they drew something. They acted directly on something. So that is going to be a predicate verb. What did they draw? They drew pictures. So that's going to be my direct object. Now I can go through and find my modifiers. Let's start at the beginning. Eagerly. That ly at the end usually tells me it's an adverb, which means it's describing my verb. Eagerly drew. They eagerly drew, which means it's an adverb. And then, which kids? The kids. How many of them? There were two. So those are both going to be adjectives describing my subject. And my last word, many. How many pictures? Many pictures. Something I'm pretty sure you guys are doing with all your free time. Alright, so let's diagram this sentence. My sentence is about kids. They drew. And this sentence does have a direct object, so I'm going to have a straight down line and pictures. Alright, let's go through and add my modifiers. For kids, I have the and to. I had an adverb for drew, eagerly. I'm going to capitalize it because it's at the beginning of my sentence. Eagerly, and many pictures. So that's how I diagram that sentence. I'm going to have you do the next two on your own. I'm going to give you a verbal hint. The next two, C and D, both have direct objects. That should be a hint what your predicate is. And side note on D, you'll have a helping verb in there also. Okay, so let's take a look at our next page. It says, on the lines provided, write rule 1 of commas, a comma in a series. So in the start of the video, I did write out a lengthy definition. So let's write out a shorter one here. So a rule 1 of commas is use a comma to separate items listed in a series of words phrases and subordinate clauses. Okay. Put my period at the end. Now, if you're just watching this video and then you're going to do the workbook afterwards, you can pause at any time, of course, and then come back and rewrite all of this. All right, so question number 3 says, on the lines provided, rewrite each of the following sentences with correct punctuation and capitalization. So they're providing us a sentence and we need to correct it. So you guys get to play the teacher job now. Let's do the first one together, and then I'll have you guys do B and C on your own. So if we look at number 1, I can immediately tell I forgot to capitalize the start of my sentence, and Johnson's is a a name, proper noun, so I need to capitalize that also. So I'm going to start my sentence, capital the, capital Johnson's. Now, we're not showing ownership with their name at all. Oops, and I misspelled their name. Let me fix that. I'm not showing any possession, so don't need any apostrophes. So the Johnsons saw lions, and I'm making a list So I'm going to put my comma, tigers, comma, and bears at the zoo. And always end your sentence with punctuation. You can put a period. An exclamation point would also work if you want to add emotion to it, but a period works just fine also. Alright, so I'm going to have you guys do the second two together. In both of these, actually just B, you are dealing with another list, so don't forget all your commas. And in C, there is a possessive noun, so don't forget the apostrophe. All right, that is it for today for well-ordered language. Feel free to add a comment if you have any questions. I'm always happy to help, and have a amazing Friday.